I'd like to call to order the January 16th meeting of the Fayetteville Telecommunication Board. Before I call the roll, I'd like to say I'm sorry that Blake Pennington has found gainful employment with the city as our new assistant city attorney and is no longer eligible on the board or as chair of our board. So, he's done a wonderful job, and I know he'll be missed, and I wish him well in his new position. But that means we now have two vacancies on the board that'll need to be filled in the next round of applications. So if you know people who you think would be good, encourage them to apply. Go through that process. I assume those announcements will go out next month, and then they'll have the interviews in early March, probably. I think that's the way that usually works. We'll call the roll. I think. Mr. Airy? Here. Mr. Huggins? Here. Ms. English? Here. Ms. McCormick?
Here.
And Mr. Smith. So we have unanimous and full board on at the moment. If you've had a chance to look over the minutes from December board.
They're not nearly as extensive as usual because we didn't actually have a video recording, as you recall, in December, and why we didn't have a video recording of the meeting. So Mr. Odom was not able to do his usual good extensive minutes for the meeting. So I did my best.
In the absence of them, I would like to propose that we accept them.
All right.
I second.
All right. Motion made and seconded that we approve the minutes from the December 20th meeting of the Communication Board. Any discussion, additions, corrections? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Minutes are approved. We have the agenda for this evening's meeting. The reports from the government channel and the public access operation. Are there any other additions to the? Okay. Accept the motion that the agenda be approved as printed.
Second. Oh, I'm sorry. I move that we accept them as presented.
Second.
All right. Motion made and seconded. The agenda be approved. Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Rich?
That's my cue.
That's your cue. Thank you.
Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another meeting. I'm glad to be here. It's a new year with a lot of new possibilities and a lot of new opportunities, and we're going to look forward to that. And so because it's January, we like to do a couple of things in January. First, I'll talk to you about a little bit about December, and then talk to you about, give you a fairly quick recap of accomplishments and such for the year 2013 for the operations of the television center and the government channel. First of all, in December, as is usual, I pulled the reports for our video-on-demand viewership. The first three graphs that you see are from our Granicus video-on-demand service. Again, that is just for meetings. The top 10 meetings included several city council meetings and a couple of planning commission meetings. And also, it's interesting to note, again, that in the top 10 were 3 live events that garnered enough views to put them in the top 10 as a live event, and then the rest of them were viewed as archives. Top being, of course, the City Council meeting from December 17th that had a total of 48 views. And so that would only be pretty much for about a month. So that tells you that there was a lot of interest in that particular meeting for people watching it after the fact. We have most of our viewers, again, we should always have most of our viewers from outside the city. 368 total viewers for the month of December accessed items on the Granicus service. Where are they coming from? As always, most of them come from a link on accessfayetteville.org, which is our city's main website. There are some other places where people come from. There's a link from Facebook, some of the search engines, and then sometimes people have it bookmarked. And when you see where it says direct there and 1,220 visitors that went directly to it, that's someone who's accessing that page by a bookmark. And a good example of that is me. I have it bookmarked on my bookmark bar on my web browser, so I don't have to dig through links to get to it when I need to access it. And I look at that page quite a bit in keeping an eye on it. And also the heat map graph, which is always interesting. It looks a whole lot more interesting in color. The black and white printout version doesn't do it justice. But again, as we would expect, over 300 of the visitors came from the Fayetteville area. And then it's always interesting sometimes to see people that, looks like we got some visitors from San Francisco and Oklahoma City. So there are people all over the country that tune into our stream, our video on demand service, and watch the things that we offer them. The next two graphs are reports from our YouTube page. It looks like we've gotten if you'll recall, I said something about having some benefits videos posted on our public YouTube page. We've fixed that. Those are now off, so these numbers for December are not skewed by those misposted videos. And I'm really pleased to see that one of our locally produced pieces, the Curbside Recycling Route Driver, is actually the #1 viewed in terms of views piece on YouTube, and it beat out Today in America, which has held the top spot for many, many, many months. There's a lot of interest in the recycling activities with the city of Fayetteville because we are conducting a significant media campaign for our recycling efforts. And I told you about some of that a couple of months ago. And we do a lot of other things. One of the things that we enjoy is producing the Green Your Life series with our sustainability department. So those get a lot of views as well. There's a lot of good tips on how to do things for energy efficiency and recycling and things like that. Most of our viewers come from the United States on YouTube. Most of them come from the watch page, the YouTube page itself. And it's interesting to watch the gender go back and forth. Sometimes it's more female, sometimes it's more male. I don't know that that's even relevant, but it's kind of interesting sometimes to watch it go back and forth depending on what month we're in. And the other thing that is interesting to me is when we look at the fact that most of our traffic sources on YouTube are coming from mobile apps and direct traffic. Again, a direct traffic is someone who's bookmarked it, but also it looks like we're getting more work and more traffic from mobile devices. And that's something we're keeping an eye on because that's something that's going to grow more and more as we go forward. And how many people are accessing our content with a smartphone or a tablet, things like that.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
How are you determining the gender?
That's analytics from YouTube. So how they determine that, I believe, is a lot of times when you watch a YouTube video, you're signed in either as a YouTube user or as a Google with a Google account, and when you set up a profile, you tell what your gender is when you have a Google profile. That's how they pull those numbers. I believe that's how they do that. But that all of the numbers and all of this is from Google Analytics. The YouTube system has an analytic and a metric tracking system, and all I have to do is go in there and say, show me how many people viewed our YouTube videos in the month of December, and it says 1,280.
Okay.
And then the last chart that I've put in there for you is a tracking of our video on demand numbers throughout the year. And we can see them and do different things as they kind of go up and down. And I'm going to take this 2013 was the first year that I tracked it all the way across the year. Skewed a little bit in October, November because of those benefits videos, but what I'm going to do is do the same thing in 2014, and then I will be able to do some comparison graphing for you so we can see if the months are tracking the same. Are we going to see a dip again in August or in June, as you notice here? And then why was February so high? Why did we get that many views on there? And maybe we'll be able to identify some of those trends. Why do we need to do that? Well, it helps us inform the City Council as to how they're communicating, because ultimately that's what we're doing, is we're helping the City Council communicate with their constituents, and the city administration communicate with the citizens. And what these numbers tell me in some cases is that what people are watching, if there's a spike in a particular service, if I look at maybe there's a particular program or kind of program that is getting a lot more views, that has a particular interest for people. So we need to be able to look at that and identify that and possibly do more of that kind of programming. That's December. Now I'd like to take just a few minutes and direct you to the second section that I gave you with your agenda. This was actually not included in the agenda itself. It was the packet that's on the back side. I don't know if you had been this had been distributed to you by Mr. Pennington, but this is a copy of his annual report. The telecommunications report provides an annual report to the City Council every year, as mandated, and this was his last one, and we really appreciate him doing this. He does a pretty good recap of what was done with the board activities and the two different organizations, Public Access Television and the Government Channel and Television Center. Dan is going to talk about the public access operations in a year and recap for them here in just a few minutes. If you go to the second part of this, after Mr. Pennington's report, you'll see a document that's called the Year-End Reporting for State of the City Information. The Mayor's Office asked the division heads to change the way we provide information to his office to develop the State of the City address, which he's working on right now. And so I thought it would be interesting for you to see what we provided as a division for the Mayor's Office to include, or to consider to include, in the State of the City address that he'll be presenting here, I believe, next week, but it will be soon. And it starts out with provide a bullet point list of major accomplishments and services provided by your division this year. There are several things that we felt very, very proud of being able to provide service for in terms of our division, the Media Services Division. The top one is the Legistar Agenda Management Program. As some of you are aware, we provided the project management for that project, and it has taken our agenda management process that the City Council uses and the City Clerk uses to have staff-originated agenda items approved, reviewed and approved, took that off of paper and has made it completely paperless. We're almost to the final implementation of that, but it was a very, very extensive project, and we're still working out some of the final bugs, but that was something that we're very proud of. And the second thing is that we provided the leadership for the conceptualization and development and guided the launch and provided media management for our new recycling initiative, the Recycle Something campaign. That's gone on. It's getting a lot of really good buzz in the community. It's really starting to take off. We've put a lot of different messages in many different media. We produce television spots, we produce radio commercials, print media, and we have video programming running at the theaters, the Malco Razorback Theater. We have YouTube. We have social media working. We have print ads on transit buses. We have print ads in the newspaper. And probably the thing that we're most proud of from the Media Services Division is that we saved the city well in excess of $50,000 in producing the 2 primary television spots for this campaign, which if the city had to go out of house to get these spots produced, it would have cost probably between $100,000 and $120,000. And our budget was significantly less than that. We saved the city a lot of money with that. So we're really proud of that, and wanted to share that with the council. The other things that we've accomplished is, again, we've talked about the remote recording system in this room. 111, the system in 111 is coming online. We're working with IT to get the connections done. That one should be online fairly soon. And the other thing that was a very significant issue, both for this board and the city and the state as a whole, was the issue of statewide cable franchising. I felt very good about the support we were able to provide as a division, and I was able to provide in my role for the administration in our attempts to work with the legislature on this legislation. And unfortunately, it didn't go the way we wanted it to, that we thought was the best way to go, but we will deal with how we have to deal with going forward. And that was just part of what I try to do as the division manager, to stay involved and up to date and informed of what's going on in the world of both cable television, communications in general, and the technology and the laws associated with that, to help you as a board understand that, and to help develop advice for the city council as they just have to consider how to respond to these kinds of things. Like I said, Dan's going to talk about some public access things here in just a few minutes, and we participated in several different things, but we improved the quality of internet streaming. We upgraded our Granicus technology, make things look better for the citizens, and those are pretty much the highlights of 2013, with the last point of we celebrated 20 years of the City of Fayetteville Television Center being a resource for the citizens of Fayetteville. And while public access television in one form or another has been around longer than that, the government channel was created in 1992, along with the establishment of the Television Center, and it's just been a great 20 years, and we're looking forward to a whole lot more going forward. So, does anybody have any questions about any of this?
Would you just touch on some things you anticipate being the major initiatives this coming year?
Absolutely. In 2014, we are going to finish some projects that we've been working on. As I said, one of the primary things that we're working on from a technology standpoint is the creation of a production system that we can take out in the field. And why that is important is that will give us the opportunity to do things in a more efficient manner. We're always looking for a way to do more with less. So if we can do more efficient work, then we can do more work with the same number of people. What does that mean? Well, that means that we'll be able to go to a mayor's town hall meeting, and instead of it taking us a week to edit that video together and have that meeting available for people to watch, the goal is to be able to walk out of the room with a finished product. That also positions us for when we have the opportunity to be able to do those kinds of things live. And my vision is that someday we will be able to access the kind of technology to be able to go from, say, the Boys and Girls Club. The next Mayor's Town Hall meeting is going to be April 21st at the Boys and Girls Club. We will be there. We will be recording it. Then we'll have to go back and spend a week editing it and then get it out to the citizens. But what I want to do is to be able to someday telecast it live from on location. So this will be the first step in that. From an operational standpoint, things at the Television Center are going really well. 2014 is a year that we're going to have some budget money assigned to the division that we will, I guess the best way to say it is kind of save it. We've been building budget for the last couple of years to do our conversion of the facility to full digital. And that will come to fruition in 2015. That's when that'll all come in. So we're saving some money for that this year. The big thing that we're going to do in the television center is we're going to create a green screen. And a lot of people have heard of green screen effects, and that's where you can do layering and those kinds of things. And we're taking the studio wall that we have, and the buildings maintenance department is getting ready to help us do a little work on it, smooth it out a little bit more, and we're going to have that thing painted completely green. We're really looking forward to being able to offer those kinds of capabilities to our users. And it's not just for live stuff. People can shoot video in the studio in front of the green screen and then take it into an editing system and do compositing with it at that point as well. So it works both sides, both live and also for post-production. So the 2014 is really going to be a lot of enhancements to the studio this year. More lighting in there, the green screen. We're hoping to be able to replace some of the curtain with different color curtain and more capability like that. Buy more grip equipment that helps people work their productions more efficiently and more creatively. And then, and not to steal any thunder from Dan, but here very soon we're going to ask the City Council for to move the money from the trust fund of public access television into our budget. So then we'll be able to take that and use that for promotional work for public access television. That's the other thing is 2014 is going to be the year that we really push awareness of public access. We've been a lot of building. We've gotten a lot of the stuff worked out that we needed to be. Right now, we're ready. We are ready for people to bust the doors down and be there and do a lot of work. And with the addition of what we're doing at the studio, it's going to be unbelievable. Dan has some great ideas of bringing folks in. We have people coming in talking to us about different show ideas and things like that. We're working to make things work for them. And then we want to spend some money to promote public access television in the community. And with the City Council approving the ability this year in the contract to expand that to also include not just citizens of Fayetteville, residents of Fayetteville, but also employees of public institutions and nonprofit organizations, that's going to be huge. We're also making a little bit of change in the short takes program, and I'm saying that because that's a public access television program, but it's part of their contract that they have to produce that. So I feel it's kind of a City of Fayetteville program too. We contract them to produce that for the citizens, and we're going to have two different ways that that's going to be produced. One is, as traditionally, people coming into the studio and just talking to the camera and being able to express their point of view or whatever they want to do. But we also going to do another section where people will be able to come in and be in an interview situation. And Dan's working with some talent to develop them as an interview host. And we think that that's going to open short takes up to a whole new audience and a whole new group of people that are going to take advantage of it, because it can be intimidating to come in and sit in the studio and look at a glass lens and try to be friendly and talk to that unblinking eye there. So we think that's going to help out a lot. That's what we're looking at in 2014. Those are the major things that we're looking at implementing.
Where are you guys at as far as some of the data loss that you were discussing in the last meeting?
Well, I appreciate you. Thanks for bringing that up. Unfortunately, we sent all the hard drives to a data recovery service, and their best cost to us came back to us. Their best cost was $8,000 to recover the data, and I can't justify that expenditure. We're going to lose some project files. We're going to lose some raw video that we had stored on that device. But I talked to everybody that's at the facility. I talked to Dan and his crew, talked to everybody on my crew, and we all agreed that we would rather spend that money in getting a more robust and stable storage solution than what we had, and put that money into that. Then we can. It's not the best thing in the world, but we can rebuild the Facile database, and we can also get by with losing the raw video and such that we're going to lose. We didn't lose any actual projects. The project files that were stored on that device, the programs themselves were already on DVD. So we do have the final programs in the archive. And that's something that I'm looking at and I'm considering trying to budget for a capital project, maybe in 2016, to put together a very extensive archival system. Right now, I'm nervous about the fact that all of our archives are at the television center. All of the government channel archives are on DVD, and if we had a catastrophic event down there, we would lose our entire archive. We don't have the staff to make copies of all this stuff. It took us the better part of 2.5 years to transfer it all from VHS tape to DVD, and then to look at going forward from there, the cost and the time associated with making a copy of that, all those that we could store off-site. So we're looking at solutions to that. I realize that's an issue. It's something that is very concerning for me, but it's going to cost a lot of money to create that kind of archival capability to keep that. But I think the city council will agree that it definitely would be worth it to spend the money to preserve that.
Okay. Any other questions? So, do you anticipate any addition to your staff anytime in the next few years? Seems to me that you're doing a lot more.
Not anticipating. The city council is very, and the administration and the mayor are, very concerned, continue to be concerned with making sure that we maintain and manage the money well, and we're not looking at being able to add another position. And my goal is to be able to sit down at the end of 2014 with chief of staff and the mayor and have some significant conversations from that perspective, and be able to show them this is where we are. And I believe that after we put a couple more of these technology solutions in place, we're going to be able to get as much efficiency out of the staff that we have. And at that point, if we want to increase our activity, then we'll have to add people, because it just gets to that point. So, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Robinson?
Yes, good evening.
Good evening. You had a good year.
We did. We had a wonderful year at Public Access, and we're very excited about the year to come. And it's very nice to have the year in hindsight to move forward into this year informed and ready to optimize things to our best ability. So if we're starting on the first page of the report with the highlights, a couple of things that I would point out to you very quickly would be, first of all, with the no-shows and cancellations, you see that we greatly decreased those in 2013. That's great. So that we feel like that is a direct result of essentially better, I would say, counseling of the staff to the students as to what makes sense, that is a pragmatic plan of getting their things accomplished. When people come in and we tell them about all the wonderful classes we offer, their first impulse is to sign up for everything. They want to sign up for everything we offer right then. And we have started advising people that in fact, they should take it one step at a time, help them with that process, and I think that really impacted our no-show and cancellation rate. Which is also nicer for our staff, because if we've got 10 people signed up for a class and we're all ready to go and they don't show up, then that makes it very difficult to feel good about ourselves. And so instead, it's nice to know that we're making the connections with people and securing that. Another interesting thing to note is the class participants. Between 2012 and 2013, there's just a significant increase, and that is thanks to the increase in the contract that we were able to enjoy in 2013. We offered more classes and had expanded hours, and as a result, we were able to impact a significantly greater number of people. And then the participations were also up. I think it's interesting, and I'll look forward to talking about when we get to the equipment usage section about editing use being down a bit, which is actually a good thing, and I'm looking forward to explaining why. And then the studio use, as you can see, with our newly enhanced studio, we had a great increase in the usage there. And then I anticipate with the addition of the green screen that in 2014 we are also going to see a significant increase. It was also nice to see an increase in field camera checkouts as this year we introduced our new HD equipment. So with the new HD equipment, it's clear that the users are more excited about checking them out and using them more consistently. And then when it comes to programs telecast, I think it's also very interesting to see that we did have an increase in the inside in particular, which is the place that we are really placing our focus in 2014, is trying to empower and making programs as accessible as possible for our users is an initiative that we are aiming for in 2014. So if we go to page 2 with training, it was a record-breaking year with training, thanks to that expansion of the contract, with a 21% increase in class participations and then a 35% increase in candidate producers. So that was a big leap, and we're very excited to have those candidate producers on the path to being certified producers. And
Looks to me it's more than a 50% increase on the new candidate producers, 52 to 80?
yes, new in which section?
Back on your first.
Oh, right. Yes. Yes, it is. It was a significant increase. And so we are very excited to get those people on the path to becoming certified producers. And when we get to the certification section, I'll explain a little more about that. But the goal initially is to get them in and get them initially trained, and then if they're able to take it to fruition as far as producing programs, then they become certified. So, and then our average test scores remained high. And on page 3, at the top of page 3, you can see we actually averaged our test scores for the... Oh, it's okay. Average test scores for the entire year, which were very high. So we feel like our students maintaining an A average is a good thing. And then if you notice under the number of trainings offered by class title, we've got some asterisks in that section under 2012 because we were able to add, you're looking at the brand new classes that we were able to add in 2013 that we're very excited about. Some of them got more love than others, the new classes, and because these tend to be more advanced classes, it does have a smaller number. But the advanced field and advanced editing classes did have participants. The advanced studio class was the least attended, being, in a way, one of the most intimidating things that we offer. When people go in and see the Star Deck-looking control room, then it tends to be something that, and it also has a very specific application. Doing shows in the studio is a very specific feel. And it seems like many of the people that are coming through the doors now are more interested in shooting things on location in the field and bringing it back to edit. But in 2014, we are encouraging more people, and then with the addition of the green screen, I think we're going to see a lot more action in the studio. So at the top of page 4, you can see our class attendance chart for the year, which to me shows our trends. And having had the data from 2012 and then having now the data from 2013, we can see that it is, in fact, very trendy. And so we are looking at this specifically and planning special programs for May and for September and for December that will incentivize more people coming through the doors in those times that clearly have natural lulls. And those natural lulls tend to come with the semester breaks of school. So that seems to have an impact on the community at large. It's really not just students. We do have students, but it's not like students are a majority of our users. Just the community at large seems to take a deep breath when the graduation thing happens. So, but I think with specific programs, last year in 2013, we've had several programs that we feel like established some things that will be successful for us in 2014, one of which was a kids camp, essentially a teen video camp that Your Media hosted at the Television Center last year. And this year we're planning on doing that sort of thing, but with Fayetteville Public Access Television actually being the host and for no charge. And because we felt like we really got a significant number of, we had 6 participants that came in and really had a wonderful experience that were teenagers. Came in and learned how to use the studio. They tackled the biggest thing that we had, and they seemed to really get a kick out of it. So So we're very excited about creating more programs like that in 2014. So as far as certification goes, you can see that we do have a significantly larger number of candidate producers. So certified producers are, and then also 100% increase in the certified producers, which is very exciting. Actually taking a show to fruition and putting it on the channel is the challenge. There are lots of people who have great ideas. There are lots of people who like to run cameras. There are people who can even run cameras and edit. But then actually making your show finished with titles, putting it on a DVD and handing it to us with a signed form, that is a challenge. So it is our goal to make that as easier, make it feel more accessible. And clearly, in the last year, we have been able to reach more people and take them through that process. So we're excited to continue that upward trend. As far as production activity goes, it was a great year in that we were able to introduce some new programs. But in the annual report, I wanted to take a moment and specifically honor two very consistent people who take advantage of short takes, with short takes being a very important program, we feel like a very important resource. Clearly by the numbers, the public perception of the ability to use short takes, I would say, has changed. Whereas before there was no such thing as a webcam where you could sit at home and make your own YouTube channel and get the word out there. I think in that old era it was much more of a cherished resource in that it was the only way that you could get your message out, was to come in and do something on short takes. Now that there are more options, it's our goal to make short takes a more interesting platform, something that people are, that they feel like there is a benefit to coming in and actually doing it in the professional television studio environment, getting exposure on Cox and AT&T, and then with our live stream channel, having that ability to reach out to an internet audience as well, in a more professional format than just on a YouTube channel. So as Fritz was mentioning, we are taking short takes and modifying it to be a more current and trying to think outside the box as far as making it more interesting and more accessible for people to utilize. But Aubrey Shepard comes in twice a week without fail. That guy comes in, and sometimes he'll do 2 short takes in one sitting. And he gives us great insight into everything from flora and fauna to city council meetings and all sorts of things. He's right there on the front lines, and he comes in and tells us about it every week. So his participation is greatly appreciated. And then also Dick Bennett comes in on behalf of the Omni Center for Peace and Equality and does constant presentations on books. He does a book of the week, lets you know what he's been reading and gives you some insight into that. So between those two, despite the fact that our numbers have decreased, I would say that short takes themselves have been more substantive in the last year, thanks to these great contributors, than they may have been in previous years, where people were coming in with more scattered and random things. And then finally, we really did a real outreach to musicians this last year to utilize short takes as a resource. And I'm also, I constantly am getting short takes out in front of musicians and actors, because it's a great resource for them to be able to come in and play a song, and they can walk out with a DVD for $5, and what all they paid for was the DVD. But they can come in and share their talents with a televised audience, and we share their website information, and it is a great resource for local musicians to let people know that they're out there and network that way. So all in all, short takes, I would say, had a good year, even though it was a light year. So as far as equipment utilization goes, it was very steady, and we were very excited to have the new equipment this year, which received rave reviews. People seemed very happy with the cameras. The cameras are very easy to utilize. Very happy with the new editing platform, Adobe Premiere Elements. So, but then Fritz and I were sitting in Fritz's office discussing, as we do weekly, and he said, why is it that the editing numbers are down? I mean, we've been seeing people come through, we've been seeing people working, we've got more certified producers. Why is it that the editing numbers are down? And he said, and I'm so surprised that I had not thought of this, because we changed to HD, because we went to a digital platform, you no longer have to capture your footage. In 2012, when you went out and shot 30 minutes worth of footage, then you had to come in and sign in for time, and then you had to spend that 30 minutes in real time capturing your footage. Now, with the new digital system, it's drag and drop. You pop in your SD card, you drag your files over, and you just saved yourself 30 to 45 minutes of editing time. So it's, even though we saw more traffic, essentially, they're using less hours. It's a more efficient process for our users now that transferring files is drag and drop.
I think also going to the simplified editing program might have saved some people time instead of frustration with the more complex.
Yes, we've certainly had less questions. We have less people popping their head in the door saying, hey, could you help me with, and which we're happy to facilitate. But yes, with Adobe Premiere, we've found that it's been a very user-friendly platform with a great success rate. So we feel like that definitely had some impact on those numbers this year. December marked 2 years without a formal complaint with Fayetteville Public Access Television. We did, however, and for those who know the history, they appreciate the fact that that is a truly precious thing. And having had many history lessons, I also greatly appreciate the fact that we've been able to have such positive interaction with our users, positive interaction with the Telecom board, positive interaction with everyone that we come in contact with this great resource. So we've had rave reviews when it comes to the new facility and the improvements and the new classes.
And I would like to point out that I think, from my perspective, the programming on public access television is more dynamic, it's more diverse, and it is more compelling than it has been for a long time. There are all kinds of programs on there. So we're not getting complaints, not because it's boring, we're not getting complaints because Dan and his crew are doing such a great job.
I appreciate that.
Well, I'd just say that both the government channel and the public access television have improved beyond anyone's imagination, say, from 2008, the way it was at that point.
Well, we appreciate that. Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Robinson?
I'm not quite finished.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. When we look at programming, like Fritz was saying, last year it was very exciting to add several programs, and when it comes to looking into the future, I'm really excited about the programming that we have in development right now. Do a little spoiler alert for January. We've got 5 new programs in pre-production that we are developing with local people. So I am really aggressively reaching out to the creative community and facilitating them creating new, exciting, compelling local programming. So, and partnering with organizations, Arts Live, and several other vibrant, wonderful local organizations that are doing great things. I am contacting them and saying, what can we do to help you make a show? That is my mantra this year. And so, and we're finding that people with that mentality, rather than before, it very much was, you know, you have to do these things and you have to put people together. And if you do that, then you can have a show. And now we are trying to fill that gap with the hours, the man hours that we have there. We're trying to make it easier for people, facilitate people producing programs and creating new content. And we feel like that is going to continue the trend, which we've seen, towards more inside programming, less outside programming on the channel. Things that have been produced with public access resources. And then I believe that that is in turn going to really impact our viewership. I think that more local people are going to start watching between the compelling new content and the accessibility of the live stream channel, where they don't have to have a cable box to watch anymore. So very excited about the programming. And as you can see on the chart on page 7, the top of page 7, we have trended towards inside programming in the last year. And then with promotional activity, we had a really wonderful year. And you can see on page 8 the spikes that were caused by our guerrilla promotions which we had to, with no advertising budget in 2013, we had to do what we could with social media, and then we feel like with the live stream, having a place where people can interact with it and really engage online, we are seeing more trends of more viewers, and so we're very excited about that as well. And then in 2014, I'm just really excited to work with Fritz on coming up with an awareness campaign for public access. I'm especially excited that the Recycle campaign has already happened, because we get to ride on their coattails, because that was such an extensive advertising campaign. I feel like Fritz and I are really going to be able to find the exact things that worked the most effectively in the Recycle campaign, and then apply those dollars as effectively as possible for public access awareness as well. So that would conclude my report for the year, and I just cannot thank everyone enough for the last year. It's been amazing to have this opportunity. It is such a pleasure to work with Fritz, and we are very excited about the year to come.
And anyone that's watching who'd like to know more can go online at faypublic.tv
That's correct.
and get all the information about how to sign up and make television.
That's right.
Good. Any questions?
With the last point, I would say that we are very excited to have the new members of this board, and we're very excited to empower you guys with anything that you might need. Your references, when you refer people to us, are invaluable. It's great to have you guys just letting people know that the resource is there. If they are interested in media production, just let them know that they can come talk to us, and the brochures that we brought, feel free to take a couple extras and share them with anyone that you know who would be interested in video production, please.
Have had an opportunity for the orientation sessions yet, or those?
We weren't, holidays, weather, all kinds of other stuff. However, I'm going to get with the new members as soon as the meeting is over, and we're going to schedule that before the meeting in February. We'll get that taken.
And they can get free hoodies, right?
Well, yeah. No, the hoodies are gone.
Oh, okay.
But I'll get you a T-shirt for sure.
All right. Okay. Any announcements? Other business?
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to bring this to your attention and the board's attention, and I don't know how the board may want to go forward in looking at exploring this. There was a court decision that was handed down earlier this week regarding a concept called net neutrality, and it has some wide-ranging impact on the content delivery over the internet, and how that might be affected. And essentially, in a nutshell, the court told the Federal Communications Commission that they were not, it was not within their purview to establish rules for the usage of the internet. They couldn't control internet service providers. I would suspect that the FCC is going to figure out a way to come back and address that. However, how does that have an impact on this community would be anybody's guess. It might be something that the board might want to look at sometime in the future, depending on where those court cases go. But I did want to bring it to the board's attention.
That was a Court of Appeals case. I don't know if there's any intent to appeal it to the Supreme Court or not, or if they're going to have statutory. But if there are campaigns, that we ought to be aware of them. And, from a consumer's point of view, I think it's quite important to maintain net neutrality.
And from my perspective, in addition to that, and this perspective as well, we're a content provider, and so from that viewpoint, how we get our content to the internet and have it available for people either through the live stream, or we use the city uses the Granicus service for our live stream, that it could have a significant impact on that as well. So it's going to be anybody's guess where that goes.
Well, this is the Verizon case I think most of you are familiar with, but the amicus briefs and that are quite an education in themselves, just the parties that filed.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone like to be vice chair?
He said he would.
You're more experienced than I am with
There are likely times that I won't be able to be here exactly at 5:30, or, I know in April, I believe it's in April, I'm out of town, so we do need to make, some arrangements for someone to chair the meetings if I'm not here on time or I'm out of town.
The board does need a vice chair, and also 4 constitutes a quorum. So if Dr. Smith is the only one that is not here and we do have a vice chair, then the board meeting can be held and business can be conducted. So that would be something that I strongly encourage you to do.
As you can see, it doesn't require any heavy lifting.
This evening.
I will volunteer to be vice chair.
All right,
I second this.
that's volunteered and second. Any other volunteering?
Good choice.
All right, then Ms. McCormick is the candidate for vice chair. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations.
You have been railroaded.
All right.
Any other announcements, or? Nope. Well, the main thing is, be aware that there are gonna be openings, at least 2 openings, with the 2 resignations we have, and some more good folks to step up. I just, am so pleased with the way everything's going for both of our entities, and have remember times when it was not so good for either.
Well, we could not have done the work that we've done without the support of this board and the people that have been involved and the people that are involved now. I'm looking forward to a great future with you guys helping guide this resource. And it is really your ability to guide what we do and to advise us as well as advise the city council. It's a 2-way street for you guys. We listen to you as a voice, as the appointed voice of the residents of Fayetteville, and then the city council listens to you as well from that standpoint. So our goal is to make sure you have all the information that you need to make the kind of advisory statements that you need to make, and we certainly always welcome feedback and anything that you can give us that will help us do our jobs better. But the support that we've gotten from you and from the city council has been invaluable, as well as from the administration, and we're really glad to have had the opportunity to do that.
I assume with the clerk's date stamp on this annual report that it has been distributed to the council?
Yes.
Mr. Eric, you're recognized for a motion.
I want to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
There's a motion second. It's a non-debatable motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. Meeting is adjourned. And the light's off.
And